Okay, y'all, how y'all doing? It's Friday, although it's kind of weird to say that, um, but it is. So here's our problem, the slippery slope, and here's the coordinates. One of the pairs of coordinates has a variable, and so we want to find out what values of k is the slope of the line going to be positive. All right, so in other words, when we do the slope formula, which you might remember, right? So basically, when we do the right coordinate minus the left coordinate, these would be the y's, those would be the x. And if we want this to be positive, we want that to be greater than 0. So when we do the k plus 2 minus 5 over the k minus 4 minus 2, we want that to be greater than 0. When is the slope of the line negative? Okay, well, that would be the reverse of this. So let's just go ahead and solve this problem. All right, let's simplify this. Now, this is a challenging inequality. And the problem with it is, in order for this to become greater than 0, you either need 2 positive numbers or 2 negative numbers. And so notice, when k is greater than 3, this is positive. But k is still negative between 3 and 6. K minus 6 is still negative between 3 and 6. So the only way you're going to get a positive over a positive is k is greater than 6. Now when these are both negative, that's going to happen when k is less than 6, but on the top it will stay positive until k is less than 3. Right? So the only way you're going to get a negative over a negative is k is less than 3. So this is going to be when k is less than 3 or when k is greater than 6. And this is when you get a negative over a negative. And this is when you get a positive over a positive. Now there's another way, more sophisticated way of doing this, but we won't worry about that right now. Let's just kind of think about what that means. Alright, now let's do the flip side of that. If we want this to be negative, we want it less than 0. Well, the only way this is going to be a negative is if you get a negative over a positive or a positive over a negative. Okay? And it's probably going to be the reverse of this. So when we're in between, well, when we're less than 3, let's do a number line. Right? So here's 3 and here's 6. So right now we've got greater than 6 and less than 3. Okay, and so this is when it's positive. Slope is positive. Well, since that's everything except in between 3 and 6, logically that's probably the case over here. Well, let's see. Let's use a test point. If we put a 4 here and a 4 there, we're going to get 4 minus 3, 4 minus 6, positive over negative. Pretty cool. Okay, now let's test if it's true on the outside of this. So if this is 2, okay, then you're going to get a negative over a negative. Okay, so then whenever you're less than 6 and greater than 3, you're going to get a positive over a negative. Now, will you get a negative over a positive? Well, the only way you get a negative is if k is less than 3, but if k is less than 3, then you'll get a negative on the bottom. So you're not going to get a negative over a positive. Because every time you get a positive on the bottom, you're bigger than 6, like 7, then you're always going to get a positive on the top, because 6 is bigger than 3. So the only way this happens is if you get a positive or a negative. Okay, so those are the solutions. Now what's a more sophisticated way of doing this? Whenever you're comparing a fraction to 0, there's two things that can happen. It's based upon the top or the bottom. So what you do is you find the numerator zeros, and you find the denominator zeros. Okay, well that's going to be 3 and 6, right? And then what you do is you use test points on a number line using the numerator zeros, which would be 3, and the denominator zeros, which would be 6. Okay, so we're going to use a test point. Is this true when the k is greater than 10? Let's use 10. Is this true when the k is in between 3 and 4? We'll use 3 and 6. We'll use 4. Is this true when the k is less than 3? So there's 3 possible intervals of solution. We got the intervals of solution by using the numerator zeros and the denominator zeros. That's where the 3 and 6 came from. And then in each interval of solution, we're using a test point. So we put the test point into the expression and see if that's true. That is true. It's going to be positive down here. 10 minus 3 is positive. 10 minus 6 is positive, so it's positive here. All right, we can do that with the 4 now. What happens in the interval between 3 and 6? Well, let's put the 4 here, and let's put the 4 there. 4 minus 3 is positive. 4 minus 6 is negative. Okay, so if we have a positive divided by negative, this becomes negative. Okay, and what about in the interval less than 3? Okay, so we can go ahead and replace the k with a 0. And let's see. 0 minus 3 is negative. 0 minus 6 is negative. So we're going to get a negative divided by a negative over here, right? And so this means it's positive. So it's basically the same thing, just in a different way. And so notice we get positive slopes in the same region, less than 3, greater than 6. And we get negative slopes in the same region, greater than 3, less than 6. Okay? So we'll be starting Zoom when we come back from spring break. You know, that's ironic to say, but that's it. On 13th of April, I'll give y'all some information about how we're going to do that. I'll basically probably just post a link to the Zoom on the scheduled time, but I already sent y'all the schedule. I'll send some more information on later today about logistics. Okay, y'all take care.